Hello and welcome to Gradient's weekly roundup of key business and financial developments in Sri Lanka for the week ending 8 July 2022. Here are the top stories for this week. Prime Minister says debt restructuring plan to IMF in August. Bailout faces stricter US conditions. Interest rates hiked by 100 basis points. India halts supplying fuel on credit as dollarised fuel purchases come into effect. We will also briefly look at other notable news that made it across to our news desk and wrap up with a capital markets update. In our main story this week, on Tuesday, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said in Parliament that the debt restructuring plan being prepared by Lazard and Clifford Chance will most likely be ready to be presented to the IMF by August. He noted that engaging the IMF this time around is different as the country is now a bankrupt nation, adding that a separate debt sustainability plan has to be presented to the lending agency. He further stated that once the staff-level agreement is obtained, an international donor aid conference will be held. In a Twitter message, the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee said that any IMF agreement with Sri Lanka must be contingent upon the central bank's independence, strong anti-corruption measures, and promotion of the rule of law. It noted that without reforms, the country could suffer further economic mismanagement and uncontrollable debt. The United States has about 17% voting share at the IMF, as such is a key player in determining any outcome for Sri Lanka. On Thursday, the central bank raised policy rates by 100 basis points to counter spiraling inflation. Adjusting for the third time during the year, standing deposit and lending facility rates now stand at 14.5% and 15.5% respectively. According to the central bank, the recent higher-than-expected escalation of headline inflation and its increased persistence in the period ahead deemed a further monetary policy tightening to contain any build-up of adverse inflation expectations. Bloomberg, citing people with knowledge of the matter, stated that India is seeking payment in advance for supply of fuel to Sri Lanka after credit lines granted have been exhausted. Moreover, according to Kanchana Wijesekara, 9 fuel shipments are to arrive in the next 2 months. He also noted that any company or industry that can make a dollar payment will be permitted to open a consumer account at the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to obtain the weekly guaranteed quota. Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa asked for fuel credit from the Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Rajapaksa, in a Twitter message, stated that he had requested credit support to import fuel to Sri Lanka to deal with the current economic challenges. In other news, the World Bank is to grant $110 million to Sri Lanka to purchase fertiliser. The fertiliser is to be supplied to farmers at 10,000 rupees per 50 kilo brag, significantly lower than the market price of 35 to 40,000 rupees. Moreover, the World Food Programme has pledged to provide 365,000 bags of urea to low-income farmers at no cost. As per the SLTDA, tourist arrivals during June were 32,865, up 8.8% from a month earlier. Visitors in the first 6 months of the year were recorded at 411,377. In June, India was the largest source market, followed by the UK and Australia. However, the United Kingdom and New Zealand advised against all but essential travel to Sri Lanka due to the current economic crisis. The USA, EU, Canada, Australia and Ireland maintained their travel advisories issued months ago. Now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the all-share price index and the S&P SL20 index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all term maturities significantly expanded by over 400 basis points from a week earlier. Of the 84 billion rupees worth of bids, 70 billion rupees were accepted. And here's how the rupee performed against the dollar this week. In other market news, Aitken Spence acquired 100% stake in Saga Solar Power for 1.4 billion rupees from Browns Investments plc. Saga Solar operates a 10 megawatt renewable energy plant in Hambantota. And that's a wrap for this week. Follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for more updates on business and financial developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again, thank you for watching. Stay safe.